That fake HOA officer crossed onto my property and struck my dog with a metal rod, and in that moment, something inside me shattered permanently. Before we explore this story, let me know which country you're watching from in the comments. I'm interested how far this account will travel. My farm stretches across the Kentucky hills. 80 acres of dense woods, gradual sunrises, and genuine labor. My canine companion, Scout, accompanies me everywhere. He's a large retriever mix, devoted as bedrock, disciplined, intelligent, and gentle, unless someone attempts something foolish. Foolishness arrived wearing an imitation badge. His name was Jason Miller, though initially he presented himself as Officer Miller. HOA Compliance and Rural Patrol Unit. No such unit exists. No such jurisdiction exists, but the HOA 3 miles down the roadway enjoyed exercising imaginary control, and Jason was their newest employed entertainer. It began modestly. A notice on my fence reading, "Unapproved agricultural construction." Then an alert about boundary visibility. Then an assertion that my territory, my own land, fell under their expanded authority area. I disregarded everything. They weren't governmental. They weren't municipal. They weren't law enforcement. They were tedious suburban intimidators with a paperwork obsession. But Jason didn't appreciate being ignored. He visited once while I was repairing the barn, approached behind the fence line, and started capturing images like some nature documentarian with a superiority condition. "You cannot construct here without HOA authorization," he declared. I laughed, not from amusement, but because I required a moment to process the absurdity. "Son," I informed him, "you are one property line away from entering a universe of complications." He didn't advance closer that day, but he returned 4 additional times. Each instance slightly louder, slightly more confident, slightly more convinced he possessed power he absolutely did not hold. I should have recognized the HOA president. Helen Graves was orchestrating it. She'd been protesting for years that my farm reduced the district's visual appeal. She despised that my property existed near her flawless little community. The woman once mailed me a letter proposing I relocate Scout because substantial canines create an intimidating appearance. She was that type of individual. Still, nothing prepared me for the dawn when everything finally fractured. The sun had just cleared the ridge, fog settling low through the trees. I had finished feeding the livestock and opened the coop. Scout was conducting his regular patrol, trotting the perimeter, investigating, tail relaxed. Then he barked once, sharp, alert, not playful. I turned just in time to observe Jason emerge from behind my equipment shed. He wasn't permitted on my land. He wasn't invited, and he certainly didn't announce himself. He held a metal rod in his grasp, one of those inexpensive pry tools HOA enforcers carry when they pretend to be operational. And before I could shout, before Scout could respond, Jason swung forcefully. The steel connected across Scout's flank. Scout yelped, a sound I'd only heard previously when he injured his leg as a young dog and fell into the soil. Everything within me stilled. Then everything within me ignited. My voice lowered deep. "You just struck my dog." Jason smirked like he'd accomplished something courageous. "You failed to comply," he stated, shrugging. "HOA procedure permits." He didn't complete that sentence because that was the instant I stepped toward him, slow, measured, a tempest he couldn't anticipate. Scout lay in the dirt, trembling, whining.
Dust adhered to his coat where the metal rod had impacted him. I ran a hand along his side. He flinched strongly and cried out. That noise, that fractured something fundamental inside my being. Jason Miller stood there, holding a rod like he'd just fulfilled his obligation. He wasn't breathing heavily, wasn't frightened. He actually smirked like he'd demonstrated a point. You refuse to comply, he said, shrugging. HOA protocol allows. Cease speaking, I said quietly. He blinked, confused by how composed I sounded. I stepped toward him once. Just once. He panicked immediately, raising the rod like he might swing again. You're escalating a hazardous circumstance. You need to stand down. I stared at him. You struck my dog on my property with a weapon. Scout released another feeble cry behind me, and Jason had the audacity, the absolute nerve to roll his eyes. It's not my responsibility. Your animal is hostile. He was walking. That's all he was doing. Well, Jason said, shifting his position, perhaps now he'll understand. That was the final trigger. I didn't yell. I didn't rush. I didn't warn him. I simply walked to the porch, slow, deliberate, calm, and opened the wooden case by the entrance. Jason didn't comprehend initially. Then he did. His face paled when he saw me lift the compact shotgun.
Whoa, wait, he stammered, abandoning the tough act instantly. You can't. That's a firearm. I struck my dog, I repeated. You trespassed. You assaulted me. And now you believe I'm going to simply allow you to depart? He held up one hand unsteadily. Set it down, he said. We can discuss this. You intended it, I said, every part of it. I raised the shotgun to my shoulder. Jason panicked, genuine panic. He stumbled backward, lost his footing slightly, then attempted to recover with an outburst of foolishness. He charged me, full sprint, rod raised, and that was the conclusion. I squeezed the trigger. Boom. The blast disturbed the morning atmosphere. Birds burst from the branches. Dust blew off the porch. Jason was lifted off his feet, thrown back into the soil, sliding across the ground before he finally halted. His hands clawed at his torso, blood spreading through his shirt in a dark, heavy pattern. He gasped sharp, moist breaths, struggling for air that wasn't arriving easily. You shot me, he choked. You assaulted my dog, I said. Scout whimpered again, pulling himself nearer to me with his functional side. I knelt and drew him gently into my lap, keeping the shotgun pointed at the ground now, but still prepared. Jason tried to sit up. He couldn't. You'll face imprisonment, he coughed. For self-defense, for stopping a man who trespassed, attacked my dog, and charged me with a weapon. His eyes flickered with realization. The moment he finally understood he wasn't the authority here. He was just a criminal bleeding in the dirt. I retrieved my phone, dialed emergency services. This is Samuel Porter, I said steadily. I require deputies and medical assistance. A man trespassed on my farm, attacked my dog, then assaulted me with a metal rod. I discharged my shotgun in self-defense. The suspect is down. Yes, sir, the dispatcher said. Help is en route. I sat there in the soil with Scout leaning against my leg while Jason thought to breathe, and all I felt was cold, steady clarity. He brought this upon himself. If this rural account has captured your attention, please like and subscribe, because the aftermath becomes even more significant. The deputies arrived quickly, faster than anyone out here typically does. 2 patrol vehicles drove up the gravel path, lights flashing against the stable, tires eking dust into the morning air. Jason lay where he fell, on his back, chest saturated in crimson, breath short and broken. He wasn't speaking anymore, not pleading, not threatening, just fading. Deputy Garcia walked directly to him, kneeled and placed 2 fingers to his neck. "Pulse is weak," he said, "but he's still conscious." The paramedics weren't far behind. They lifted Jason onto a stretcher, packed the injury, and rushed in toward the ambulance. His eyes fluttered once, unfocused, frightened, then closed completely. Scout pressed against my leg, shaking. I held him close, attempting to keep him still for the deputies to inspect. Sheriff Reed arrived last. He stepped from his vehicle with the slow, weary walk of a man who's witnessed every variety of foolishness imaginable. "Are you all right?" he asked me. "I'm fine," I said. "Scout's injured, but he's alive." Reed nodded, then looked toward the ambulance as the door closed firmly. "What did he strike him with?" I indicated the rod lying in the dirt. Reed's jaw tightened. "And what did he do before that?" "Charged me with it. Full sprint." Reed turned to his deputy. "Tag that as evidence." Then he faced me again. "Stanley, I've informed every HOA jester in this county the same message. Remain off farmer land." They didn't listen. He paused, tapping his notepad with the back of his pen. "You fired in self-defense. The evidence is clear. Your dog being harmed is clear. Everything aligns." I nodded. I already knew, but hearing it verbally mattered. The sheriff walked Scout to the vet truck personally. "We'll get him treated," he said. "Good boy didn't merit any of this." Scout wagged his tail once, feeble but bristled. 6 days passed, 6 silent, heavy days. Then the sheriff called. His voice carried that tone men reserve for news that alters circumstances. "Samuel, Jason didn't survive. Never regained consciousness from the coma." I exhaled. Not relief, not sorrow, something different. A release of tension I'd been carrying since the instant he struck Scout. "What about the HOA president?" "Oh, Helen Graves," Reed said, almost chuckling. "She's finished." Turns out Jason maintained a small diary, notes, directives, recordings of meetings, and in that collection of stupidity, he documented everything, explicitly. Helen instructing him to apply pressure, Helen authorizing illegal property inspections, Helen approving the utilization of physical intimidation, Helen knowing he had 0 legal authority. She didn't merely send him, she armed him. Within 48 hours, she was arrested on conspiracy to commit assault, encouraging trespass, misuse of HOA funds, coercion and harassment, attempted property seizure. Helen received 8 years in state prison, plus $35,000 for damages and Scout's medical expenses. The entire HOA board resigned before nightfall. Some fled, some wept, some blamed everyone except themselves. But the farm remained mine. Scout recovered, and Jason made his decisions.
And that's how a fake HOA officer discovered the difficult way. You don't lay hands on my dog, and you don't trespass on a farm in Kentucky. But what about the other property owners facing similar harassment? The investigation revealed Helen had targeted multiple landowners who resisted her authority. One family surrendered their land after constant intimidation. An elderly farmer paid excessive fines to avoid confrontation. This pattern of coercion extended throughout our rural community. The district attorney expanded the inquiry, uncovering systematic harassment of property owners who challenged the HOA's jurisdiction. And the most shocking revelation? Helen had connections with local officials who ignored her operations. But that's content for another video. If you want to witness how we exposed the entire corrupt network and protected our rural rights, ensure you're following this channel.
If this narrative of defending family and property resonated with you, please support our channel by liking this video and subscribing to Winds of Thought for more authentic stories that merit attention.